What is up, y'all? Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. We, of course, are The Alternates. I am your host, Brian Cullen, and with me, as always, via satellite, that's what we're going to call it right now, via satellite.
Yeah, like
is
CNN.
Everyone's favorite. Yeah, you are the Wolf Blitzer of the show, and that is not your intro. I just came up with that. With me, as always, is everyone's favorite, the architect of the student loaner forgiveness plan, Clayton Stevens.
Clayton, thank you.
Good to see you, man.
Finally get some respect to my name for that.
I'm all for the student loaner forgiveness. I was a student loaner, and I need some validation there. So Biden, that's your next move. Before we jump into today's show, which we do have a very, very fun show lined up for you, just want to take a quick second, ask you all to subscribe to the show on YouTube. That's youtube.com/thealternates. Go ahead and subscribe to the podcast on any podcast platform that you use. Like the video, drop us a comment, leave us a rating and review, share the show. All of these things help us out with the algorithms, and it helps people just like you find us so that we can continue to build this incredible little community of ours. If you want to get a hold of us, you can do so by emailing the show, thealternatehoop@gmail.com, and go ahead and follow us on TikTok at thealternatesNBA. Clayton, before I even ask how you're doing, I guess we should explain we are doing remote this week.
Yep.
Our studio is a shared space. My cousin, who's a very kind, very loving, very helpful person, lets us use his office space and his studio space to record the show. And he is currently working on a very big, exciting project for his business and needs all of the space and all of that. So we will be out of the studio for the next couple weeks. But I'm thinking, if anybody's noticed, those wood backdrops that we've had lately and all of that, we have been doing some construction on the studio. I'm thinking by the next time we get back in there, the studio, the overhaul that has slowly been happening will be done, and we'll have a bit of a new look there.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Very exciting. So we're going to be out of the studio for the next couple episodes. But Clayton, how the hell are you?
I'm good. I woke up with music in my head last night. I went to a late night screening of Grease, in honor of the late Olivia Newton-John. A problematic movie, but one that I love.
Very. Yeah, but it's so good.
Can't help it.
There's so many of those songs that you go back to and you're like, oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Or the setups to the songs. Some of them are quite disturbing, but phenomenal film. Like I said, just kind of woke up with all those great songs stuck in my head. So it was a nice way to end my night last night, honestly.
Do you have a favorite Grease song?
Oh, God. I mean, Hopelessly Devoted to You is one of my favorite songs ever, period. So I would probably go with that. But if I'm going with one outside of that, I think I got to go Beauty School Dropout. Frankie Avalon, man. Come on. I mean, that whole scene is just incredible. Very funny basketball moment in that movie I had forgotten about.
Yeah.
When he goes and he tries out all the different sports. John Travolta, terrible at basketball, clearly has never played in his life.
Yeah.
Not a hooper.
Next time you watch that movie, watch right before Beauty School Dropout, because it's in the diner. And I forget the woman's name that runs the diner, the older woman.
Vi, I think is it.
Vi, is it Vi?
Yeah.
So she's, cleaning up the tables, putting everything on a tray, and she goes over and she hits the light switch with her elbow and the restaurant lights go off. That scene, watch when she does that, her elbow just hits a random part of the wall. She completely misses the light switch and the lights turn off. I noticed that years ago and was like, oh, that is so funny.
Very funny.
That's hilarious.
That's really good. A lot of the quote unquote adults in that movie, everyone is an adult in that movie, but the ones who are actually playing adults in that movie, they all have very funny little roles. I really noticed that this time around, the principal and the office assistant or whatever. They're all very, it's very slapstick and more silly than I actually remembered it being. So it was a very fun experience. How are you doing this morning, Brian?
I'm good. I'm going to have all those songs stuck in my head now. I wake up with a different, random song stuck in my head just about every day.
Yeah.
I woke up yesterday. I had two songs stuck in my head. I had some Nine Inch Nails, going through my head.
Okay.
And then The Letter by the Box Tops, you know that song? Lonely
I do.
Days Are Gone. Dude, that song's a banger. But speaking of Grease and alts, did you ever listen to the album Greased by Less Than Jake?
I'm not familiar with that one.
They did like an EP and they
Okay.
cover nothing but the songs from Grease.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah,
It's super good.
I'm familiar with the Pezcore album.
Great album.
I was familiar with that one as a youngster, but that's about where my Less Than Jake knowledge ends.
Oh, dude. Pezcore, Losing Streak, Hello Rockview, great albums. I am unapologetic in my love for the like first half of LTJ's discography.
And there goes our subscribers.
Dude, it's the first band I ever saw live.
I have a lot of respect for Les and Jake and the early third wave ska scene. So I'm only being a little facetious, but most people hate it. So.
Oh, and I get why, but people hate happiness. But yeah, when I was like, I must have been like 5 or 6. I was really young, and my dad took me to Val Surf Shop in Valley Village,
where I bought my first skateboard.
I was going to buy my first skateboard. And Less Than Jake was playing in the parking lot of Val Surf. And I think this was like right around Pezcore. And we watched them play, and then I went in and I bought a chocolate skateboard from a man by the name of Shane Dorian, who worked the skate counter there, who went on to become a professional surfer and like world renowned surfer. So
very cool.
Yeah, very SoCal experience.
Very, yeah.
Yeah, extremely. But let's get into the show. Today's show, we're playing out of step. What?
Yeah.
We haven't seen any games played. Doesn't matter. Relegation is alive and well. It's the greatest concept in professional sports. I really want the NBA to adopt it. They have not done that yet, so we are doing it ourselves. So right here, we have the last time that we played out of step, where everybody landed. We broke it up into 3 leagues. We've got the NBA. It's the cream of the crop. Those are the real ones. Those are the pros. And then sticking to the beverage concept of the Gatorade League. But, we have yet to get our Gatorade sponsors, so we changed it to the Tea League. It's okay. It's nice. Yep. You don't necessarily love it. Sorry to our British fans, but you certainly. I don't think anybody hates tea.
No, and Celestial Twinnings, reach out. Absolutely, definitely reach out.
Get us some sleepy time, bedtime tea, and we will chug that before every episode. And so we've got the Tea League. That's the kind of it's okay. And then the C League, and the C League. Much like the G stands for Gatorade, C stands for Clamato.
Straight up.
Clam juice and tomatoes. I'm sorry if you're a Clamato fan, but that shit is disgusting. And so that's where the bottom of the league ends up. You don't want to go to the C League. So we're going to go through these teams, where they were last time, and whether or not we want to move them up or down. Are they getting relegated? Are they moving up? Did they get better? And we're doing this based off of, there's certain players that we know are just not going to play next season. And we might touch on some of that, especially if it's going to be of importance. But assuming most of the guys that did not play part of last season or the entirety of last season, we know will be playing at some point this year. And so we are going under that assumption. And these teams are also placed in no other order. This is not a power rankings necessarily. This is all just alphabetical.
Yep.
So we're going to start with the NBA. We got the Milwaukee Bucks. Chris Middleton coming back.
Yep.
They're safe. They're still contending for me.
They're super safe. They're essentially running it back. No major moves, but look, they were a Chris Middleton injury away from possibly repeating as champions, and I think going into this season, coincidentally, they would be at the top of my power rankings here. So I like them coming in here first, and they're extremely safe. I couldn't agree more.
Next, we've got the Chicago Bulls. Kind of a fun Cinderella story last season, especially in that first half of the year. Going into this next season, are the Bulls safe in the NBA? I want to move them down to the T League.
Okay.
You know, I think that they caught a lot of people off guard in that first half of the season. They really beat their expectations. But you think about the second half of their year, I think they came back to earth, and that regression to the mean, I think, is more of what they actually are than the kind of fun story top of the East that we got through the first couple months of the season. But where are you at on this one?
You know, I don't think that's an unfair criticism of the team, but you know that doesn't really account for why they had this sort of tale of two seasons, as we talk about at times. You know, they lost Lonzo Ball, they lost Caruso, they lost sort of I would call it the middle core of the team, the part of it that was the most solid. You know,
yeah.
You have your Zach LaVines, your DeMar DeRozans, your more star type players. But we know in the NBA, it's not enough to just have one of those guys, right? Like you can have a great player, and if the role players around them don't fit, typically, you know, that's a recipe for a sort of mediocre team, not a bottom team, but not a top team. And so I think if health breaks the right way, there's a good chance the Bulls could end up in the NBA this season. But it's sort of can we count on that? You know, Lonzo Ball, one of my favorite players, he's just had an injury-plagued start to his career, right?
Yeah.
And at this point, we're kind of past the start of the career. We're getting to the middle of his career. So it would be great if he could stay healthy all season. This is also, I think, going to be the first season we get a completely healthy Patrick Williams.
Right.
Who, you know, has a high upside, right? So I just think I'm going to go with you and say I do think I'm going to drop the Bulls down, but I do think they have the upside if health breaks right. Patrick Williams turns out to be at least some version of what we thought he could be. They could be in the NBA here, but I think as the season starts, you're right. They're going to have to reprove again that they can be, you know, let's say a 50-win team. I think that would be a really good goal for this team.
Totally. And for me, the reason why I'm dropping them down, well, there's a couple of reasons, but one of the big ones for me is that we saw flashes of stuff, but I didn't see enough of it consistently to completely believe in this being a top team in the league. And so for that reason, I'm with you that it's going to be kind of second year in a row of like, all right, you have to prove it again. Like you got to show me one more time that you can do it before I fully believe in the complete potential of this roster. But okay, moving on. We got the Boston Celtics.
Yeah, I mean, they're safe.
They were in the finals and they got better.
Exactly. That's the easiest way to say it. They got better from last season. Again, this is a team, though, that I think health is going to play a gigantic role in what they do. You know, a very much older Al Horford, who they got a very fresh, great season from last year. Going to see if he can keep that up. Time Lord obviously has had a ton of issues with staying healthy.
Bubble wrap him.
Malcolm Brogdon has had a ton of injuries in his career. Danilo Gallinari has missed a lot of time in his career. So they're going to have to play it. You know, I don't expect this team to win 60 games. I think they have the roster to win 60 games. Like, I think they have that sort of upside. But, you know, just going up and down their depth chart, I think there's going to be times when they do struggle, and I don't think that they're going to like win the Eastern Conference and be a juggernaut necessarily. But obviously, I'm with you. This is one of the 2 or 3 best rosters in the NBA.
Yeah, I think that they learned their lesson this last season, and the focus is going to be, you know, win enough games, you know, not saying like let's coast to 6, but win enough games and to be competitive and have some good seeding, but also let's save some of this for the postseason because we ran out of gas last year. So I'm fully expecting that.
And as long as they, you know, roll the ball out there with their 2 best players, you know, they should walk into 50 wins, you know. Can they get closer to 55? I think for them, that's probably a goal is, you know, be a mid to high 50s win team, get your guys healthy. So they're going to be a fun watch this year for the Boston fans.
Grizzlies still in the NBA?
Yes, absolutely. Until knocked out, They won so many games last year with their depth without John Morant at times. They proved plenty.
Even in the playoffs.
Yeah, so someone's going to have to knock them out. Again, are they going to have as good of a season this year as they did last year? I think the Western Conference is in some ways improved. And in other ways, there's even some spots that have opened up. So, I think for them, the goal this year is going to be repeating last year. Can they do something like that again? That's hard to do. And they do have a little bit of turnover. They went with a slightly younger roster again. They keep moving in that direction, which I do think for the long term is the right play. But maybe in the short term here, they do take a slight step back. But they're clearly in the NBA.
Agreed. Miami Heat, I've got them safe in the NBA, but they're on my watch list. I think there's a potential that we could see the Heat dip down into the T League this season.
For sure.
They lost PJ Tucker. The Duncan Robinson situation is all really weird, whether or not they trust him. Kyle Lowry, is he going to stay healthy? Is Bam gonna go back to kind of his default of I'm just a really good role player as opposed to playing up to the star power that he has? Like there's a lot of questions here for the Heat for me, but I've got them safe. I still think that they're good enough to beat a top East team.
I'm with you. I think another reason why I have them in this sort of watch list territory, but again, clearly in the NBA, part of it for me is just a respect for this team. I mean, they roll out, a few years ago, line up with Dion Waiters and Hassan Whiteside and, end up with 48 wins. They just kind of win, right? Like it's clearly something that the franchise has done a really good job of just making it known. Like it doesn't matter who's on this team. Like we expect to win every single night. So I expect them to be super competitive. But my biggest question for this team, one, of course, it's exactly what you said, Bam Adebayo. He has to be the best player on this team, in my opinion, for them to go to another level. But I think the player to watch, who is Tyler Hero? That's my biggest question for this team moving forward. Like, we've seen the flashes of Bam to know at least, like, yes, he might not consistently be that guy, but we know that he's an all-star level player. I'm not sure about Tyler Hero. Like there's moments when I feel like he could be, an outside looking in replacement all-star type player. And then there's other times I'm like, I kind of just think you're Lou Williams 2.0, which is a good player, which is a really good player. But that
every team needs one.
Every team needs one, but it dramatically lowers their ceiling. I think if they don't have another guy outside of Jimmy and Bam, who can really do it. And again, like you said, older roster, they're going to have to piece it together, but the Heat always do. There's going to be two guys from the G League we've never heard of who are going to hit 300 threes this year, and they'll cruise into another great season, I'm sure.
Yeah, they'll always find another Gabe Vincent. That's just
100%.
It's death taxes also, and the Heat finding a random guy and turning him into something good.
Of all the teams we've named so far, I think this is the team most likely to make a trade this season and shake up their roster big time.
Agreed. All right, next we got the Dallas Mavericks. I'm bumping them down.
Okay.
I'm bumping them down.
Tell me why.
The West, and we'll get to this, the West is getting better. They lost Jalen Brunson. And we saw how important Brunson was to them in the playoffs. Yeah. And, he really was. I think we called him the linchpin to any of their postseason success in a lot of those games was if Jalen Brunson was on, they were going to win the game, right?
Yeah.
It was Dorian Finney-Smith and Jalen Brunson. If those two guys could hit their height, then they looked unbelievable. And Luka is a generational talent. There's no arguing that. Without them, we might see Luka's actual MVP season this year. I think that that's very much in play, especially now that he doesn't have Brunson to help him out. But, they upgraded at center, maybe, right? We'll see what Christian Wood looks like. But I didn't see any major improvements. And I think I've got some big questions about anyone not named Luka in terms of what they can do. And if they're going to repeat the same kind of defensive intensity that they built this season or this last season, they're going to be good. I just don't think that they're going to be one of the best. And for that reason, I got to knock them out of the NBA.
I totally get it. I think you're right to put them into the T League for now, but this is a team that looking at, early win over unders and stuff like that, I might be pounding the over on this one. I think they have the roster to win a ton of regular season games. I don't think they're necessarily a finals contender. I'm with you. I think they probably got a slightly worse than they were last season, but they did add some upside in Christian Wood. And if he commits to playing a winning brand of basketball, and we did see last year, the Mavericks, when they became a better defensive team. There's no doubt about it. And it seemed like they got a lot of guys who we thought weren't really good defenders to commit to that side of the ball a little more than they ever have. So I have some faith that Christian Wood can. Will he every single night? Will he go out there every single night and be that guy? That's how they're going to win 55 games and be a top 3 seed. But we got to see it. So I'm with you. We got to see them do it. We got to see Luka come into the season in shape and not play his way into... Right. Because we've seen the last 2 seasons in a row, they've started off really slow, gotten crazy hot by the middle of the season, and then ended up in the middle because of that sort of seesaw. Yeah. Can they start off the season strong? If they go, let's say, 7-2 in their first 9 games, I think that this team has a chance to be a really high seed, but they're going to have to prove it early. Yeah, agreed. All right, Denver Nuggets. They're in. I mean, I actually think that the odds on them winning a title are kind of offensively low. I think people have forgotten how good this Nuggets team can look at full strength. Yeah, and I think they're over under right now. Again, we don't know Jamal Murray's status for starting the season, but I think it was around 47.5. That's crazy. I would go way over that. Love the over on that one. Yeah, I'm with you. We got to see it, though. We do got to see it. They did. Totally. I think KCP is going to be interesting to see on that team. I love that addition. I love that addition as well. They certainly lost a really good guard and downgraded by going to Ish Smith, but Bones Highland looked really good last year. And I think we're all anticipating that Jamal Murray's at least going to be some version of himself. And Kevin Porter Jr. as well. Yeah, for sure. So health. Not Kevin Porter. Not Kevin Porter Jr. Yeah. Michael Porter Jr. One of the Porter Jrs. 2 troubled Porters. All right, next we've got the Sixers. Oh, they're so in. Safe? They're so in. They're safe. I have some apprehension about how it's all going to play out, given some of the given James Harden. I understand. Given Doc Rivers. But put it all aside. Put it all aside. Yeah. Just look at their roster. They have one of the 5 best rosters in the NBA. Do you disagree with me? I'd have to really think about that. I don't know about top 5. I don't they have the 2 stars. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of stuff on that team that worries me in terms of the rest of the roster. They're very slow. I think that they need to, in order to win enough regular season games to get the seeding that they're going to want, they're going to need to play a faster game. And I'm not sure that they necessarily have the roster to be able to do that. I mean, they've got good guys, but that is a very slow moving team. Yeah, I mean, Maxey should play a bigger role on this team. And obviously what we saw from him in the playoffs was sort of staggering. So I expect a lot from the Sixers, honestly. I think they're going to win a shit ton of games. Okay. Yeah. All right, next we got the Phoenix Suns. Super in. Safe. But nasty vibes. Nasty vibes going around there in Phoenix. And they're going to have to work to repair all of that. But they're going to win a fucking shitload of games. It's Chris Paul. Yeah. You roll him out there at 65 years old, and they're going to win a lot of games. It's not going to say they're not going to win the title. But they're going to win a lot of regular season games. You have Chris Paul on your team. Totally, yeah. And he will be turning 65 this season. And then last in the NBA, we've got the Golden State Warriors. Possibly the best roster in the NBA again.
And they've got jewelry coming into this next season.
Got jewelry coming into this next season. I think in some ways they upgraded their roster. Yeah, they lost a couple of key pieces, of course, but seems like they got some guys who really fit into their system. And yeah, they're the champs for a reason, and they're one of the two favorites, I think, going into the season. I think the Bucks and Warriors would probably be the two teams that you would circle as most likely to win the title right now.
Agreed. All right. That brings us to the T League. This is the biggest league. But we just knocked some teams out of the NBA, which means that we've got 2 spots to move up. So we'll see what happens here. Let's start with the Cavs. Are they moving up into the NBA, or are they staying in the T League?
To be determined. I think they need to stay in the T League for now.
Agreed.
Proved it a lot last season, but certainly skidded once health went a little sideways on them. Yeah. And the Colin Sexton situation is fascinating. So
totally.
I
believe in this Cavs team, though. I'm with you. They stay T League, but I think that they have some NBA potential for sure.
I agree. It would be a big disappointment if this isn't a playoff team this year. Can we agree on that?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes, 100%. All right, the Clippers. Move them up. I've got them in the NBA. You've got Kawhi coming back, Paul George. We have not seen the Clippers play with Kawhi, Paul George, and Norm Powell together. The addition of John Wall, that's yet to be seen if that's going to be a good move or a bad move. But if you have Kawhi, I think you're in the NBA. And
for sure.
He's coming back this year. It's a great roster.
Like we've talked about with other teams, health is going to be huge for this team.
Huge.
But, I don't think they have, like I said, they're one of the 3 best rosters in the NBA, but mostly because of their depth. So I think there's going to be times this season when we don't see John Wall, and a guy like Jason Preston's going to have to step up and, show can he be a third string point guard? Can Luke Kennard take advantage of the times when he gets minutes? Blah, blah, blah. So they're just going to have to see if this depth approach can work for them. And can they keep the train rolling when guys like Wall, Paul George, Kawhi all sit out? Because all those guys are going to sit out a lot of time this year.
Absolutely,
Nick Batum, right? They have a lot of players they're going to need to manage throughout the season. So again, I don't expect them, with as good of a roster as they have, I don't expect them to win 60 games or anything like that.
Right.
They're going to have to manage, but their season is all about that depth, and if that can actually come through for them.
Yeah, and staying healthy at the end of the year.
Their depth is unmatched right now in the NBA.
Agreed. All right, the Atlanta Hawks.
Fascinating.
I'm putting them in the NBA. I want to move them up. If we look at, the addition of DeJounte Murray really excites me about this team. I think that they definitely recognize their defensive deficiencies, and they added a great defensive player who can also be a great offensive player, very aggressive. I think that almost like what we were talking about with the Mavs, right? Like they're another team that comes out kind of, you can't really tell what direction they're headed in for the first couple months of the season, and then they start to click and get it all together. I think that this last year was a real wake-up call for them. Adding DeJounte Murray, I think that they're going to come out aggressive. They're going to stay aggressive. And there's just enough on this team. John Collins, I love the potential of this team. And I think that I believe in them. And I do think that they're going to take a big step this year. And so I've got them in the NBA.
I don't disagree. But let's say this. If they get off to a slow start, this is a team that if they get off to a slow start again, exactly. This is a team I could see doing something very drastic. This is a team that, they already have with, they send out a huge package for DeJounte Murray. It's going to be tough for them to get guys in the building for the next couple of years because of it. But they have so many good young players that if they wanted to make a gigantic shakeup trade, I think they could. But we've given DeJounte Murray a lot of love on this show, and let's show him a little respect here and say, with adding him to an already really good team, this is the year. This is it. This is the time for the Hawks. No more.
Agreed.
No more slow starts. No more play-in tournament. You're a playoff team, so they should go out and prove it early this year.
Agreed. All right, next we got the Hornets. I've got them safe in the T League. I don't have them moving up or down.
No.
They continue to just completely ignore defense as a strategy in the game of basketball.
Yep.
They've got enough scoring to keep them in the T League. Kind of curious to see how the Miles Bridges stuff plays out this year. If that's
it's not good. Yeah, it's not good. That's an unfortunate. It's not their fault. But they're going to have to get creative, I'd like to see this team make a trade just to shake it up a little bit. I think they know what they have in the PJ Washington LaMelo Ball version of the Hornets. Right. Can they flip PJ and some other stuff into maybe some veterans that fit around LaMelo? I'd like to see them make a trade for veterans.
Move off from Hayward,
right?
I would love
exactly.
To see them
they have options, I think, to bring in a different cast of characters that could provide a little life to their team. They're going to be an interesting watch, though, in League Pass. I still like them as a League Pass team because they've got a lot of fun players.
Agreed. All right, Utah Jazz.
They're out.
C League.
I mean, they're out. They're
C League.
out.
I have got nothing else to say.
Yeah.
C League.
Look, they made a big trade. They sent out.
Yeah, they got rid of Royce O'Neal.
So now they're good. No, I mean, they have a big trade to make still.
Yeah.
They made a gigantic trade. Their roster seems to be heading in a direction of clams and tomatoes.
Yeah.
And they're going to give Talen Horton-Tucker the ball a lot, it sounds like. Yeah, they're out. But they will be fascinating to see. New coach, new cast of characters. This is a brand new Utah team. So, you know what? I'm kind of excited. To just see this brand new team. Who knows what they're going to be, but it's kind of a fun storyline of the NBA here. What are the Utah Jazz going to be? Who's going to lead them in scoring, right? Like, we assume Donovan Mitchell's gone. Who's going to lead them in scoring? Who's going to come out of nowhere and lead them in assists or, there's going to be a lot of interesting reclamation projects and probably a lot of guys looking to get traded, which is always an interesting. From a fantasy perspective, this may be the team to look at. There's always those teams, right? That's like has the people coming in and out, or random guys who you don't expect to put up 20 points because somebody just has to. Utah's a team I'm going to be looking at to pick up people on waiver wires for sure.
Yeah, you got your hands all over Jordan Clarkson already. All right. Next, interesting that this team is next. The Lakers, who just made a trade with the Jazz, they sent out Talen Horton-Tucker and Stanley Johnson for Patrick Beverley, former enemy of the Lakers, sharing a locker room with his current enemy, Russell Westbrook.
I love it.
And everything else that has happened with the Lakers in the last year.
Oh, my goodness.
I personally have the Lakers safe in the T League, just given how the last season went. They could move up. They could absolutely move down if they repeat last year.
Sure.
But I've got to respect the talent of LeBron and AD. Obviously, health is going to play a big role in this, how they handle the rest situation. I want to see a little more shooting on this team before I really go in on it. But for those reasons, safe in the T League. I don't really have much else to say about that.
They're going to be a fascinating team, brand new coach. Lots of new players. New players. Look, I mean, it's the Lakers, so they always have hype around random guys, but there's a lot of talk about Max Christie for a guy who was a pretty, just kind of a role player in college. He's getting a lot of attention, and the Lakers have done a really good job with these mid-first, late, mid-second round guys. Yeah. And also, I think it was the Athletic, maybe Jovan said that, Austin Reeves is maybe going to be in their starting lineup. So they're going to be a really fascinating team. I think the first question I have about this Patrick Beverley situation is, what is the over-under on the starting point guard situation becoming a problem in Los Angeles, and First Take and, all them going in on it? Because I think that's going to happen real fast. Lakers fans, they like to win, right? And I think Lakers fans are really smart, honestly. They know ball, and they're going to see pretty quickly that this guy, Patrick Beverley, he wins, and he is a part of winning. He's a very good 3-point shooter. He's an excellent defender. Russ has not been a good fit with LeBron. So I think that's going to come to a head real quickly. We're going to have to, they're going to have to figure it out. But yeah, they're the Lakers. They're so fun. I love that Patrick Beverley's on this team. I love it. It just adds such a ridiculous element to them that they already didn't need, but is just fantastic. They're the best entertainment value in the league, and that's whether they're in the NBA T League or C League. Every version of them is fun. So but there is an upside version where they're really good.
Agreed. I'm gonna steamroll this next one. Nets, safe, prove it. I'm tired of talking about the Nets. Durant wants a trade, now he doesn't. They say that they're gonna work it out. He made sure to slap on the logo of his business on the press release.
The boardroom Nets, right?
I'm over the Nets, dude. Just because of how irritated I am with the news cycle that has been the last 12 months of the Brooklyn Nets. You're staying in the T League until you stop irritating me.
Good roster, though. Good roster.
Potentially. Lost a huge piece in your guy, your alt star.
My guy. Going to Denver, Bruce Brown. Yeah, they're the most T League team ever, because who knows who's going to play. Ben Simmons is on their team. I mean, there's a lot to talk about with the Nets, but
and we will, which is why I'm not spending any more time on them right now.
Let's move on.
Orlando Magic. They worked their way up to the T League at the end of the season.
Absolutely, and they added quite a player this offseason.
Yes. So Banchero for me, plus I'm telling you, the sleeping giant is starting to wake up here in Orlando. I've got them safe in the T League. Mm-hmm. There's a huge reason for that also that we will get to in the next league. But I think that the Magic are safe for now in the T League, which gives us the Pelicans. Yep. Also think they're safe. Love how they played last year. It's been announced that Zion will be playing.
Yes.
Game 1.
Yes.
Very excited to see this roster. I loved the way that they played. I loved how, scrappy and how hard they played. They never gave up last season. Adding Zion, very excited to see it. Lots of questions around them, but I think that they're moving up. I think they're moving in the right direction as a team. And so I'm excited for Pelicans fans to have a roster to be excited about again.
This may be the number 1 League Pass team in the NBA this season. Yes. Zion and Brandon Ingram is a ridiculous pairing if both of those guys are good and healthy. So I'm very excited to watch Pelicans this season. Very excited.
Agreed. Detroit Pistons also played their way up into the T League at the end of last season.
They did. They had a nice run to close last season. They really did.
Yeah. I kind of think that they're moving down, though. They moved Jeremy Grant. Mm-hmm. They've got Jaden Ivey now as part of the roster, but I think that this is kind of I think the Pistons are going to spend another year just focusing on, all right, let's build the chemistry. Let's develop the Ivy, Cade Cunningham duo, and let's focus on that. They're not going to be too concerned about winning games this year. I think that they are going to try to build a really strong foundation. And then the season following this one is the one where we're going to see them really go, okay, now it's time to change gears and let's start to get competitive.
I completely agree with you. Not only did they signal that by, going for Jaden Ivey, who is a young, raw prospect in many ways. and also going for Duran, who, again, same kind of thing. And we know especially bigs in this league, they take a while to develop. They also gave Marvin Bagley a big deal. And so what that signals to me is this team is looking to give guys like that a lot of minutes and see what they can get out of those guys. And so I just don't think those guys are going to contribute to winning. You know, I haven't seen it. A guy like Jaden Ivey, like, it's just not going to happen in the NBA. You are going to lose if you're going to play a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're looking to see signs from them. We're looking to see if Marvin Bagley can be something. This could be the most exciting backcourt in the entire NBA soon. So again, League Pass alert, definitely a team to watch. But Pistons fans, I agree, you can expect a lot of losing this year. And I'm with you that it would be important to me as a Pistons fan to know next year this team should be spending money, going after better players and hoping to become a better team, at least fight for the play-in moving forward. Yeah. This is the last season for them to be a losing team and play into the lottery and all that stuff.
Agreed. Raptors, safe.
Yeah.
They looked really fun last year. I'm excited to see, Scotty Barnes take a step this season. I'm excited to see them continue this team. They're a really fun team, but they're just not quite there yet for me to move them up. I think that they are firmly safe from the C League, but yeah, I think that they're pretty well planted in the T League for me right now. But it's the Raptors, man. Like the last couple years, I've just learned to kind of get ready to be surprised by them and watch them do some things I wasn't expecting. So put lots of potential there. But for now, I've got them. I don't think they're better than any of the teams that we currently have in the NBA.
100%. And it's all going to come back to Scotty Barnes because he already showed so much more than I loved him in the draft, but he's already exceeded my expectations a lot.
100%.
So I'm putting no more ceiling on him. Let's just see where it goes.
Yeah. Speaking of seeing where it goes, we've got the San Antonio Spurs who have emphatically put themselves in the C League. They know exactly what they're doing. This is where they want to be. I think that they will stay in the C League the entire season. They have, shown all signs of let's rebuild, let's start over. And so, C League, it's where they want to be.
Yep.
Wizards. They're safe in the T League. I don't have them moving up or down. They're not great. I think they've got more potential to be terrible than great. But you got Bradley Beal. If he stays healthy, he's good enough to win you enough games. If Kuzma continues to play well for them, I think playoffs, but I don't think anything beyond that. I
doesn't
think that
matter
just
what
kind
the
of
roster is. It's the Wizards. You can just go ahead and keep them in the T League. That's where they permanently stay. Doesn't matter who comes in, who comes out. That's just who they are.
Yeah, we might have to call it the Wiz League.
But it may be the Wiz League soon. You're right.
Totally. And then we've got the Wolves, last team in the T League here. I've got them still in the T League. They got Rudy Gobert. Very interesting to see how that's going to work with Cat. We talked about that on a previous episode. Who knows? Maybe it looks great. Maybe it doesn't. I think that losing Patrick Beverley hurts them a bit here because I do think that he was, kind of a leader in the locker room and helped build a lot of the kind of culture that they had last season.
And they lost a lot of
intensity.
depth in that trade as well, right? Losing guys like Vanderbilt and such. So,
exactly.
We got to see it, but would
Anthony Edwards?
Would you be surprised? Would you be shocked if the Timberwolves won 54 games this year?
I think I would be, honestly.
Really?
I would be a little surprised by that,
Okay, I wouldn't. It's just like, what Rudy Gobert team hasn't?
I mean, but we've only... but what Wolves team has?
The Jimmy Butler one? No, they didn't win 55 games.
Yeah.
But, you're right. I mean, I
got to see more out of Cat.
Yep.
And
this is a big
D'Angelo
test,
Russell.
Big test for Chris Finch, who I think proved a ton as a coach, like in terms of like offensively, like that team looked completely revitalized.
Yeah.
He revitalized a lot of players' careers even there in his early tenure, but this is the other side of the ball. And so this is a big test, I think, for Chris Finch specifically, even more than the players. Totally. It's a, can you get the best out of this roster? Right. Can you be a better defensive coach? We're going to find out.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, that brings us to the C League. We just dropped 3 teams down, which means we've got half of the C League moving up.
Mm-hmm.
We're starting with the Blazers. I'm going to tell you right now, they're going into the T League. Dame back, added a wing in Jeremy Grant. It's the Blazers, who knows, but I believe that those two alone with the rest of this roster is enough to get them in the C League and be a playoff team this season.
I agree. I mean, I like their roster. I like this roster more. I don't know if I really feel this way, but
that's a tough call.
I was going to say I might like this roster more than the one that they went to the Western Conference Finals with.
Yeah.
When they were, playing Aminu and Harkless on the wings.
Right.
Look, you are running back Damon CJ 2.0 with Simons. I mean, it's just hilarious how history repeats itself here. It's like, yeah, I get it, but
again,
this is just kind of the same thing again.
Right.
But Simons has a little more upside in terms of the ball in his hands, and maybe Dame can play more of the CJ role. Maybe he can play off him a little bit, maybe become a little bit more of a spot up shooter. The guys, we know one thing Dame's great at is shooting, but
absolutely.
Yeah, they should win a lot of games. They should win a lot of games, I think. And it could be interesting to see Chauncey Billups here again too. But Portland fans, I think, will be happy to see a winning roster again. But
absolutely.
Yeah, they'll be okay.
T-League.
Yeah, exactly.
Kings. I've got this might be controversial.
No, say
I'm moving the Kings up.
I'm in.
I'm making the cardinal mistake, the cardinal sin of the offseason, and I'm believing in the Kings again.
Yes.
Fox, Sabonis, I just think that there's enough here to surprise people. And
Kevin Huerter.
I gotta.
Kevin
Huerter, I gotta buy into what they have.
I love it.
I'm sure that they're gonna, crush me again. But I kind of like this Kings roster.
How about this too? They drafted the most ready rookie in this class. Keegan Murray looked phenomenal in the summer league. Obviously, he had a little bit of up and down here and there, but he certainly looked like he's the most plug and play player in the top 5.
And he doesn't need to be a cornerstone for this team either.
At all. And look, we saw at the end of last season when they did move on from Halliburton, Fox's numbers were big. And they dealt with some injuries and stuff like that, and it didn't lead to a ton of winning. But I saw some stuff, honestly, and I love Sabonis, man. I think he's one of the most underrated players in the NBA, period.
Agreed.
The guy, all he's done is win and fucking score a ton of points and get 20 rebounds. He's so disrespected.
He's a fantasy monster,
dude. He's a monster in general. He's fucking amazing. People need to give him more respect, and I'm all in on the Kings being a competitive, good team this year. Of course they're not going to win the title. Of course not. And of course they're going to lose more games than we think they should. But you know what? They're going to be better than the Pistons. They're going to be better than the Spurs. They're going to be better than the Jazz. I'm willing to put my name on it. Let's go, Kings. 9 seed, 10 seed. Let's get it.
Yeah, agreed. The Knicks.
They got better?
I think they did.
Right?
I think they did. So here's what's tough for me is I'm like, Jalen Brunson, I like it.
Yeah.
Still got Thibodeau, who doesn't necessarily, throughout his career, has never gotten better as a coach the longer he's with the team. But I think there's enough there. And just like you said, Pistons, Jazz, Spurs, all out. And I think the Knicks are better than all 3 of those teams. Put the Knicks in the T-League. Let's go, New York.
Let's go.
I'm doing it just to get another one of those opening night videos that we got last year of everybody outside MSG losing their minds. Put them in the T-League.
Are you in on the Quentin Grimes? Do you believe in this Quentin Grimes? Like, wait, is he like the best 2 guard on the team? Like, hold on a second.
It's there. The potential is there. I don't know if I'm all in.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to listen. I'm willing to listen and watch.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's going to be fun to see. You know, it's going to be fun to see a guy like Jalen Brunson in New York City, you know, a great point guard. It's been a long time since they've had a real true point guard like Jalen Brunson. I mean, are we going all the way back to like Allen Houston? Like, seriously, like it's been a long time since they've had a legitimate great point guard. I mean, I'm probably exaggerating a little bit, but
yeah, we're missing somebody for sure.
Not by much, dude. There's like all the teams with Melo, it was always like, you know, Pablo Prigioni or, you know, kind of washed guys. So this should be a fun Knicks season. But yeah, Thibodeau.
We'll see. But I think it's enough to get them out of the C League.
It is. Yeah. But he's not.
I mean,
he is not the coach for this team.
That back door is staying open. They could slide right back.
He's not the coach for this team. And
agreed.
They're not gonna. I don't foresee them getting a top 4 seed or anything like that. But you're right. They're better than a lot of these teams.
Yeah. And then that leaves us with the last 3 teams: Pacers, Rockets, Thunder. They're staying in the C League. Mm-hmm. That's where they want to be. The Rockets definitely want to be there. The Pacers
definitely want to be there.
Definitely want to be there, but also always end up being kind of good. So we'll see what happens there. And then the Thunder, I thought had a ton of potential to get out of the C League. And then it was just announced their first round pick, Chet Holmgren, missing the entire season, tore a ligament in his foot playing in a pro-am game against LeBron, and will miss his rookie season. So we got to wait another year before we see Chet take the court with this team.
Oh, Sam Presti.
I feel like, and maybe this is a topic for another episode, but with Chet being out, they're clearly not going to, you know, go anywhere this year. Mm-hmm. I think that this makes the potential for what I've been saying I think is coming of a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander trade more likely. I think that they'll go all in on just tanking again, and let's add another piece to this and sell high on Shai so that they can just build around Chet. They can build around Luguentz Dort, obviously. No, but Josh Giddey, Chet Holmgren, and then whoever they're going to add in this offseason with their 700 picks that they have. So, I think those 3 teams are pretty well pretty well cemented in the C League this year. Maybe that's what the C stands for, is Cement League. I
would agree with you. I think it is poignant to say, though, that the Pacers are always better than anyone anticipates every year. Halliburton and Duarte is kind of a nice backcourt. You know,
but Miles Turner is likely on the move.
He is likely on the move. Buddy's likely on the move. They're going to move towards a roster that resembles more of those guys, the Halliburton aged guys.
Agreed.
No, I'm with you. And then the Thunder news. Look, I mean, if they trade Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, which they very well could, and I don't disagree with anything you're saying here, that could be the biggest shakeup in the NBA this entire season, right? If some team adds Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, a legitimate all-star level, could be the best guard on a playoff team, that could change everything for somebody. So that could be a league-altering move. So the Thunder, from that perspective, guys like Dort and SGA, can't put Dort out of here. He's one of the most. Well, I think they just extended him, right? They gave him a big deal, so that maybe keeps him around another year or two. But my friends who are Thunder fans, I'm going to say, I know we're going along, but they don't love this team. They're not in love with everything that's going on right now, right?
Yeah.
So I'm confused about. I mean, I know what they're doing. They're trying to acquire a bunch of young players, and
it's the Philly process all over again. But it's like equally as ugly. Agreed.
And like you said, with this Chet injury, it looks like they're going to start off bad, probably. I don't love it. I don't love what they're doing. I think it could equal some great stuff. Like, look, if they, get Victor Wembanyama, or somehow they get both the Thompson twins or something crazy this season, like, all their fortunes could change overnight. But it's like, even if they do, okay, well then now you got to build a whole team. How long is that going to take? Like,
exactly.
It sort of looks like the end is just, it's not near. And
no,
I don't see it coming anytime soon. So not a league pass team for me. As odd as that is for a team with this many prospects, I'm not going to be watching much Thunder unless, of course, they do what they've done the last couple seasons and come out kind of hot. But I don't know. This is turning ugly to me. Like, I'm starting to turn on it in terms of, like, I liked what they were doing, and now I'm like, you just seem so committed to losing.
Yeah, you're over it. You got to show something at this point.
I got to see something. So I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, well, that is going to be the episode. Let us know if you're still with us, if you agree with moving up and down, who you would move into certain leagues. I want to know how everybody else's relegation is going. Yeah. But we will be back next week. We're going to play a fun game next week. That's all I'm going to say. We've got a fun game planned for next week that we're going to be playing. Thank you all so much for joining us. Remember to hit subscribe, like, share, rate, review, comment, all of that good stuff. And we're going to be leaving you with this song, which is one of my favorite bands, Ikaya, from the early 2000s. Great band. And here goes me trying to say a bunch of stuff in Spanish. So the name of the song is Mercedes de la Muerte off their 2006 Sombras del Progreso compilation on No Mientras Vivamos Records.
Well done, Brian.
I think I did pretty good there.
I think you did good.
So with that, I hope you guys are all laughing at me trying to pronounce everything. But remember to be kind to yourselves, be kind to each other, and we will see you next week.
Thanks.